What's up, YouTube? What's happening? This is going to be about Steve Arrington and his musical influences. He mentioned Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, and the band Yes. I mentioned those because the rock influences you could hear on some of his music, and in connecting. But then there are obvious ones as well, like James Brown, Miles Davis, Carlos Santana, Clyde Stubblefield, the drummer, John Coltrane. When I heard Steve Arrington vocals, they had that sonic that comes out of his voice sound unlike anybody, almost like unlike any other voice I ever heard in R&B, because his tone, his range is crazy. I mean, the guy has a uniqueness about him that it's like if you don't get his voice tone right, when it's not done right, it sounds like what Keith Sweat tries to do or what Pharrell tries to do. Basically, it sounds like a reindeer that got hit in the nose and it went utero and it went backwards. When it's done right, the way Steve Arrington does it, it takes you to another orbit. You can't be offended. You just not singing in key like Steve Arrington. Steve Arrington got a tone unlike anybody I have ever heard. His tone, his drums, but his voice and his musical influences, just like wow. So when he was singing with Slave and post Slave, Steve Arrington's Hall of Fame, Nobody Can Be You, that the nasal. And the thing about Arrington too, he also did a nod to Michael Jackson. He could do that that scat with his percussive and make that thing sound like layered. I mean, one of the most distinctive voices I've ever heard, you know. Um, so when you mention James Brown, you obviously got the funk and the belly of the beast because it's really there. But then you got like a classical orchestral thing going on too. So when he mentions Zeppelin and Deep Purple, and yes, when he mentions the rock side, I've heard that variation because the way the sonic boom of the drums, the sonic of the bass, and the musicality is really strong. It's really kicking. So I've heard all that in his music, so I have no doubts about that. You know, some people say stuff and you kind of go, yeah, right, you really got that influence. No, when you hear his stuff, you can clearly hear the influence because it's got this sonic boom, complements his voice, and it takes it to another level and measures. And so when he mentions Miles Davis and John Coltrane, that tone and cadence, that expressive, it's kind of like when I listen to Philip Bailey with the falsetto and how it goes into a whole different octave and range and tone, and it takes you like on a stratosphere. It's nothing like it. It's really unique. It's bombastic. It's incredible. And the Carlos Santana with the Latin elements and the vibes and the African fusions complements his range. You know, Steve Arrington's like a bongo drum meets a horn, but with a rhythm percussiveness that is so infectious that you can't ignore. Unlike any voice pretty much I've ever heard in R&B music. And he know he got it like that. I mean, so when you read his musical influences, you're like, wow, it makes sense because it hits like that. It really endures. And yet, at the center of the Ohio explosion and the whole scene with everything, he fits right in, but yet he's got this whole different totality that it just doesn't. It's like a scat. It's like Sarah Vaughan, if you will, or Billy Williams. Billy Williams. Um, it's unique. You know, uh, very strong. When I hear him, I think, wow. And it wouldn't have been out of place to doing some Al Jarreau either, but funky. You know, just amazing. Joe Williams is who I was trying to say, not Billy Williams. Billy Eckstein and Joe Williams, you could throw those two in on the Arrington stew, if you will. That's right. Billy Eckstein, Joe Williams, because it's a smooth bravado, but it's got this edge to it, and it's strong. It's so many different stews in his musical taste and palette that you have to hear Steve Arrington, especially if you get a chance to hear the vocals uncut. Amazing. Please like, subscribe, welcome thoughts, comments, and I do respond. Thank you. Wash your hands. Keep your mind clear. Watch out for another. Share it if you like and hit that membership because when you do, requests like this come true. Stay safe, stay blessed, stay woke, stay free. I'm out. Peace.